Last year, Republicans repeatedly promised to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. Yet they have failed to do a single thing to lower housing costs, lower grocery costs, lower insurance costs, lower child care costs, lower utility costs. They have not done a single thing to drive down the high cost of living in the United States of America. In fact, inflation is going up under this administration and Republican complete control of government. It's not going down. As Democrats, we remain committed to making life more affordable for the American people. Unfortunately, Republicans have shown no interest in driving down the high cost of living. Why? Their primary objective is to enact massive tax cuts for their billionaire donors and wealthy corporations. That's what the Republican budget is all about in the United States House of Representatives. And they want to stick working class Americans and middle class Americans with the bill by ending Medicaid as we know it, by throwing people off of programs like nutritional assistance for children and seniors, and harming our veterans. It's unacceptable, it's unconscionable, it's un-American, and Democrats are going to fight it every step of the way.
Thank you. When Donald Trump was running for office, he said prices will start going down on day one. It's now day 24. We've just heard prices went up 3%. The price of groceries went up. The price of buying a car went up. The price of gasoline went up. The price of meat and poultry and eggs has gone up. Donald Trump has not kept his promise that on day one, prices would start going down. In fact, they've gone up 3%. And he's not focusing on helping the American people lower their costs. He's talking about things like, the Panama Canal and changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico and building hotels in Gaza. Has nothing to do with making the lives of Americans better and lowering their costs, which was their number one complaint during the campaign. Now on the budget bills they're marking up, they have one purpose and one purpose only, and that is reduce taxes on the very, very wealthy. The very wealthy are doing quite well already, but instead they're threatening to slash things like Medicaid and veterans money and help for our farmers and help for our highways and roads and help for our clean energy. They want to slash all of those things just to do one thing: cut taxes on the very wealthy. So instead of trying to help working families, the Republicans in the House and Senate are instead helping the very wealthy and hurting the working person. We don't care if it's one bill, two bills, or 50 bills. The goal is the same. The goal is the same. Reduce taxes on the very, very wealthy in America, and do it by slashing things that working families need.
Leader Schumer, you talk about these cuts, you talk about prices, talk DOGE. Will you try to stretch out some of these other nominees that are less controversial in protest, say Brooke Rollins, Kelly Loeffler?
The nominee we're focusing on right now is RFK Jr. He would be a disaster. His beliefs and philosophies and conspiracies would hurt kids, hurt the health of American people. We're focusing on doing everything we can to show the American people how disastrous this nominee would be.
Democrats have been relying a lot on the lawsuits to stop some of these executive orders coming out of the Trump administration. Is that enough for your constituents who have been asking for Democrats to do more on the topic?
We're working on four fronts. First is communicating. Every day we're on the floor of the House, we're on the floor of the Senate, We are doing everything we can to show the American people how disastrous the DOGE policies are. Second, lawsuits. We've had a great deal of success with preliminary injunctions, temporary restraining orders in the courts. I think there are close to 50 suits filed, and on almost every major issue, the courts have put a freeze on stopping the DOGE people from implementing what they want to implement. Third, we're doing oversight. Just now, we had our first spotlight hearing in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and will be showing with spotlight hearings. Republicans won't let us have hearings which bring the truth out, so we're doing our own. And also in terms of oversight, we have set up a portal where whistleblowers can come forward. We've already had a lot of success. And finally, there's legislation. And there's legislation that's coming up on the 4th, in March, rather, the 14th. And in that legislation, we're going to work very, very hard to achieve our goals and help the American people and stop DOGE. Hakeem?
Yeah, our view is that we'll work with anyone in this town to make life better for the American people, particularly as it relates to driving down the high cost of living, securing the border, defending dreamers, farm workers, and families, and keeping our communities safe. The Republicans in the House and the Senate have shown no interest in making life better for everyday Americans because it's all about tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. And they're going after the federal workforce in areas that will harm the American people, harm Social Security recipients, harm Medicare recipients, make it harder for our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers, our EMS workers, to keep our communities safe, all in service of rewarding their billionaire allies.
Thank you, everybody.
Leader Jeffries, today there was a Save the Save the Civil Service rally outside the Capitol today to push back against DOGE and Elon Musk's policies and the workforce layoffs. What is your message to the civil servants of the federal workforce right now in this situation? And do you think they should fight back against these policies internally?
There was a rally yesterday that I had an opportunity to participate in with the federal workforce, our civil servants, hardworking, everyday Americans who come from every single community. And we're going to stand up for these everyday Americans, stand up for the middle classes. Leader Schumer has indicated we want to grow the middle class. The Republicans, with their budget, have betrayed the middle class.
And we've had a couple of stays on what they're doing to the federal workers in successful initial lawsuits.
Thank you. Thank you.